Welcome to the Check Swing Podcast, y'all, with myself, Miguel, and down there is Mr. R. Hunter, aka Ray Baseball. And we are live once again. We've I feel like I've been in front of this camera all day, but we are live. I'll prove it to you. It's 9 o'clock on Wednesday night, and the Sixers game is at halftime. So there you have that.
I gotta get a new alias. I gotta go back to like Cobra, Tiger, Hidden Dragon or something.
I told somebody they should change. No, you know what? I probably shouldn't say that online.
Yeah, don't do
Yeah,
that.
I probably shouldn't say it online.
you
Probably
got
gonna
good.
take it off.
You got good PR people.
Rewind.
You said I got what now? Hold on.
I said you got good PR people. You can get past it. All you gotta do is apologize in 24 hours and you'll be fine.
You ain't got LeBron scrub team out here.
Listen, well, look, it's the Check Swing Podcast, y'all. We talk baseball, we talk sports, we talk life, we talk it all, and today is going to be no different. Of course, us being a baseball centered show, we got to mention actually, first, the way I like to start all my shows, I like to say, how's everybody doing? So, Mr. Ray Baseball and Mr. Santa, how y'all been, man?
Look, I'll kick it off. You've been hanging with me for the last 5 hours, so you know how I've been, man. I'm good. I'm still amped up on caffeine and Cinnabon. You know, I'm getting prepared for Do More 24 Delaware tomorrow. I have to stay up for 24 hours. So if y'all follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, I'm gonna be up. I'm ripping. I'm running. It's a 24-hour fundraiser. My head's gonna explode on Friday, but look, we're gonna go. We running
Now I see why your left eye's been twitching this entire time.
the whole time.
He's like, I was like, does he need rehab? Do we need a consultation or whatever?
The stuff that is not Pepsi starts tomorrow, not today.
Let's move on past that. Miguel, how you been?
Doing well, sir. Recovered, just about fully recovered from a non-COVID flu. I got nervous last Wednesday because I had this real bad cold, and then all of a sudden it's like, I can't smell. I was like spraying Lysol up my nose. I couldn't smell. I couldn't taste nothing.
Ooh.
So all the time we had like those at-home tests. Took like all 6 of them every 6 hours. They were all negative. Got the PCR test, which goes into the molecular part of whatever. That was negative. So finally been able to taste the last couple of days. And we started the home shopping process about 2 weeks ago. And we put in a bid on a possible location in the northeast section of Baltimore City.
Snap, Northeast Baltimore in the building. About to come down, get my club.
Now, if everything works out well, this joint got 3 full bedrooms with full bathrooms.
All right, well, that's you and your wife in one room, and I'll be in one room, and our dad will be in the other room.
Hey, sounds good. Y'all got a basement? I take the basement. It don't make
no. Basement's claimed, brother. You and Jessica share a joint.
Listen, you talking to a brother that we had to share a car one time on the weekend.
Oh, I remember the story that we can't talk about.
We've shared that story.
Hilarious.
But I'm glad everybody is doing good. I'm glad you're feeling better, Miguel. Do More 24, as already said, starts at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Yeah, I'm getting it all confused. 6 o'clock tomorrow night. So definitely we'll tell you more about that in just a little bit. But let's get into the show, y'all. We are all baseball guys here, and as you know, you may know, the baseball season right now is not going to happen. At least the first 2 series of the season for every team. Baseball has basically come out and said that the first 2 series for every team will be canceled due to the fact that they have not come to an agreement on money. Okay. Guys, what's your feeling on this?
You go first.
I mean, like we kind of talked about in the pre-show, it's kind of a battle between the billionaires and the millionaires and the one that gets kind of the shaft or the bad end of the stick are the minor league players making 40, 50, 60,000 in the minor leagues that get nothing while this stoppage happens. But I think the full blame falls on the owners and um, the commissioner, because I mean, not for nothing, but ultimately they had 43 days to make an offer, and they chose to wait until what, the last 5 days, allegedly acting in good faith, and then kind of walking away. And I had posted that picture of the commissioner making the announcement that they're canceling games with a humongous smile on his face. And he has like I don't know if this is a Philly thing, but he has that what we call the hate the face. Um, you know,
He's a hate the face guy.
he's a hate the face guy. Just walk up and you just want to just you know. But I just think that I don't see how this helps the game. And I want to talk about like a little bit later some ideas, something I read about even possibly changing like the regular format of how baseball works, so making it similar to like college or soccer, where if your team isn't good over a course of time, you actually get demoted, almost like a player. Like instead of the player going down to the minor leagues, the whole team goes down to the minor leagues, which I like. And you get teams that stop tanking and really focus on winning. But we'll talk about that later. But as far as this lockout, it's all on the owners, because the owners are locking out the players. Um, and one thing I was looking at was one of the latest proposals between Major League Baseball and the Players Association. So I put it in the share thing. If you can put it up from Justin.
Yeah, sure, no problem. There you go.
So this is the current proposal as it was. On the left hand side, you have Major League Baseball's proposal um, for the threshold. It's not a salary cap. It's kind of like it is kind of a soft cap. So basically, this is the amount that each team would be allotted for their roster. So on the left hand side is what Major League Baseball proposed: the same amount for the next 3 years, even though they're getting a quadrillion-dollar TV contract. So MLB, the Players Association, countered with the numbers that you see to the right that match that kind of balance out the revenue that they'll be receiving from these TV contracts. So it just seems like the owners want to kind of keep the things slow, keep it slow and steady financially, but the players, being smarter than they were 20, 30 years ago, they have basic economic academia, if you will. They know how these things work in true revenue sharing, but it just seems like the billionaires want to keep everyone else the same while they make more revenue. So
Question for you. Explain this to me again. What we're looking at
so
here.
the 220 million is the roster salary, the total roster salary. That's the minimum, or I'm sorry, the maximum before you get hit with what's called a
luxury tax.
luxury tax. I was trying to think of the term. And then I think every 5 or 10 million you go higher, you get taxed higher. So
Correct.
Major League, the Players Association wants to heighten that threshold so that way more players can make more money. But also it balances with what the revenues are coming in to Major League Baseball from the TV contracts. So the number on the right, that's the Major League Baseball's proposal, is to keep it at 220 million for the next 3 years, only bump it up to another 4 million in 5 years, and then go to 230 in 2026. So they want small increments to be added to the teams, but the number on the left, the Players Association believe, is more economically reasonable based on the revenue that they'll be getting from the contracts. The
All
TV.
right. So for somebody like me who has a short attention span, and when numbers gets involved, it gets even more confused. The MLB number is the offer,
from the owners.
From the owners. The MLBPA is from the Players Association.
Correct.
And baseball doesn't have a salary cap, but basically this is what the cap
So NFL has a hard salary cap. You cannot go over that salary cap.
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Ardot, but NBA has similar,
very similar to baseball. It's
baseball,
a soft
right?
cap.
So similar, right?
Right.
So basically, if you go over that number, you have to pay an extra tax, which was designed to go to the
revenue sharing.
The revenue sharing to help the bottom team succeed. Basically, it helps teams like Pittsburgh Pirates continue to tank and not give a damn about their team. Sidebar, sorry. So that's kind of the gist of what those numbers mean.
Last time the Pirates been in the playoffs.
Exactly my point. It's
been Jay. I want to Stephen A. this thing for a second. I need you to bring me in big. I need people to focus on what I'm about to say right quick. I need focus.
I was actually getting ready to take this down.
Me. I need this to be my Stephen A. moment.
What you got?
Stop blaming Rob Manfred. Rob Manfred is not the problem. I'm gonna say this as somebody who is a league president. I say this as somebody who is a league president. I am a commissioner of sorts. I'm in the same position as Rob Manfred. He is just the bearer of bad news. He's the same as Roger Goodell. He's the mouthpiece. He's going to look very stupid in saying some of the things that he is saying.
Can you show the stupid picture, please?
I've been in that boat. Oh, my God.
To prove his point?
Let's not do it.
Show the stupid picture to prove his point. Show the stupid picture to prove his point.
Give me a second. I'm trying to get to it.
There it is. That's the stupid picture. That's the announcement that they're canceling games.
He's going to look stupid. Henson point that picture right there. He's going to look stupid. But he is an advocate he's the mouthpiece for the owners.
That's it.
All he is a talking head. He is essentially what we equate to the president of the United States. He ain't really making the decisions. He ain't really pushing the button. He isn't the one who decided to cancel the games. He's just the dummy that went on TV smiling, talking about it. Now, with that being said, now you can bring us back to normal because I don't want to be the focus anymore when I say this part. But the owners are completely at fault here, and it's greed, and those numbers show you. So the owners' numbers at the peak, in I believe it was 2025, the numbers at the peak didn't even match the minimum for what the players want next year. So baseball's highest offer never even relatively came close. When we're speaking of millions of dollars, didn't even come close to what the Players Association was asking for to start. And that goes into speaking these billionaires, and I'm not going to say the millionaires versus billionaires argument, because statistically speaking, there's less than 50% of the players in Major League Baseball make $1 million salary. And that's a scary thing to say, especially when it's a 162 game season. You think about what these guys put on the line, and I'm not saying that every single $400,000 player plays 162 games. We know that that's not the truth. We know that there are very few players that even get to that point. But for the majority of players, it's not right now with what's going on with this lockout. It's not the Mike Trouts. It's not the Bryce Harpers. It's not the superstars that are going to suffer. It is the younger players. It is the minor league players coming up, looking to get to this level. These guys are suffering. And right now, you see some of the argument from the Players Association about the living conditions for minor leaguers. You look at the minimum salaries that these guys are looking to have raised. These high dollar players are not worried about their money. They're worried about ensuring that the continuity of the game goes long term and that these players are protected. And ownership is saying, we don't really care one way or the other.
And to piggyback on what you were saying, we were talking about this, I think, 2 weeks ago. A player like Vlad Guerrero, Jr.
Yeah.
His base salary is about 500,000, but he was runner up to the MVP. Now, normally, if he's under the normal accumulated years baseball contract, he
Right.
would have made about an extra $2 to $3 million, but instead his salary stayed basically the same. So
We were
five
talking
hundred fifty
about
thousand.
we were talking about on the last show when we were talking. It was a weird transition in how we could fix the NBA slam dunk contest. But I brought up the fact that Pete Alonso made more money from the home run derby than he did actually playing 150 baseball games for the Mets.
Jesus.
That's depressing for a
Yeah.
player to know that I am out here sacrificing. This is the longest season in professional sports by far, 162 games. I'm out here for $400,000. I go into a competition that lasts an hour long, and I made more money in one day than I did all year.
Quick side note: they still have slam dunk contests. Sorry,
If you want
I
to
mean,
call it that.
it's not
I'm
in the
sorry.
NBA anymore, apparently.
I apologize. I'm sorry.
So you guys says both of you said something interesting about the owners. You talk about the greed. You talk about the money, and the owners. The owners being typical owners. If you think about it,
Right.
right? Like the CEO of McDonald's don't give a damn what the burgers taste like. They just give a damn that they make the right advertising that get you coming in there and buying them. They
That's
don't
it.
care. They don't care that the ice cream machine ain't working at
Why
any
is it?
McDonald's on earth.
Why the hell can I get a McFlurry after 10:30 p.m.? Why? It's
I
always
can't get
down.
a McFlurry at 3:30 p.m.
Right. Exactly.
It's always
Exactly.
down.
McDonald's is advertising the Shamrock McFlurry, but you can't get it because the ice cream machine never worked. But they don't give a damn about that.
Now, did y'all see? And I know this is switching gears from the podcast, but did y'all see that McDonald's was involved in a lawsuit with the company that actually manufactures the machines?
What?
Yes. So
For
McDonald's
what?
is in a
Them
lawsuit.
machines are fine. It's just people that don't want. They don't want to clean them. I've been
That's
told.
that's exactly what it is.
Well, so the lawsuit alleges that parts that are being used cannot be serviced by anybody other than the manufacturing company. And
That's
they
smart.
don't have people that can come out and support the servicing. So they're basically controlling the fact that you have our equipment that you've paid for. You have to wait for us to come service it, and you're losing money based on the fact that you can't sell the product.
I call it BS.
Hey, that's going to be proven in the court of law.
I call BS because I hate to believe. Not I shouldn't say hate. I believe what I was told by a McDonald's employee that they just don't feel like cleaning the machines. But what you said it makes a lot of sense because if a machine breaks and they gotta wait for it, makes a lot of sense that you just ain't gonna. You can go to a couple McDonald's and they all waiting for the same guy to come fix their machine.
It just
Yeah.
makes me go to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. But so we're back. We're talking about the MLB lockout. We're trying to get these things and RDOT put a thing in there about the lawsuit, the McDonald's lawsuit. But we're talking about the owners, the fat cat owners. Think about all the owners that are out there. The owner of whatever, they don't care about the real product. They just worried about their money. These
What-
owners right now are fighting to keep money in their own pocket.
And even
Correct.
to RDOT's point, like the initial offer is so lowball. It's just like what they're trying to do with the young players. Remember how we talked about how the Players Association wants to build a pot of money for the players within their first 6 years. If they're like top 10 in WAR, they'll get a couple $1 million in from the pot as a bonus. And I think the Players Association came with like 110 million, and then the owners started at 25. It's like, are you serious? You're not even going to meet halfway. It's almost like me negotiating for minimum wage to be a livable wage, which should be like what, $18, $20, and then McDonald's coming back with like, all right, instead of $7.50, we'll give you $7.75. It's not even. You're not even negotiating in good faith. You know.
Now there was one negotiating point that I saw, and I thought it was really interesting, and I thought it was a slap in the face. So they said, if you are a rookie who comes up and you win Rookie of the Year, you get to keep your service time.
So one.
I was you're telling me that if I come up and I don't win Rookie of the Year, I didn't exist.
That's what they're telling you. That's what they're telling you.
That's crazy to me.
And another thing to piggyback on that too, there's players that if they don't start the season at a certain point this year, they lose that year of free agency.
Yeah.
So they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing.
There was a big issue last year, and I can't remember the prospect's name, out in Seattle. He was more than deserving to be on the opening day roster. They held him out to keep him from accumulating service time. And there was a big mess about it because essentially they were saying the Seattle Mariners are not trying to put the best product on the field because they're worried about free agency 4 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
I think
there was a lawsuit.
They did that with Chase Utley too.
Well, they did it with Chase Utley. They did it with Ryan Howard. They did it. Phillies are known for that. But Chris Bryant,
it's a normal process,
right? And Chris Bryant sued the Cubs over that stuff in Major League Baseball because what the Cubs did, I believe the number is 14. It was like he had to, if he was in before the 14th game, he would have got credit for the full season. But the Cubs purposely waited till the 15th game to call him up, stating that we wanted to see if the free agent that we got was going to be better or not than Chris Bryant. And they knew damn well he wasn't. So they used that against him in the case, but the arbitrators ruled that they really didn't have like exact letter to the law proof, and that's why they're negotiating that stuff now. So
yeah, that's something that's you can't really prove.
You can,
but
you can't prove it. You can say it,
but
there's not like there's some evidence that you can, unless you can find a proof written on a piece of paper.
You wait till the 15th day. It's like, come on.
You immediately bring him up.
It's obvious
after the 15th day.
You called him the night before and said you're coming on the plane tomorrow.
You ready for tomorrow, big fella?
Exactly.
What? I was ready for today.
I was ready 15 days ago.
I mean, but you can't prove it. Unfortunately, that's a lawsuit that probably you can't win. You can't. I don't know if you can prove someone's intentions.
Well, that's why I like.
Even though they will hit you with a possession with intent to
possession
sell.
with intent.
Well, we can. The legal system clearly decides when they want to use intent, because homegirl said that she did not intend to use her gun. She intended to use a taser, and she killed a black man, and she got $1,000 fine and 16 months in jail because it was never her intent.
She got 16 months in jail for a mistake.
White woman's tears.
A mistake, right?
Yep.
A mistake.
Because it wasn't her intent to kill him.
It was her intent to jack him up. That was her intent.
Her intent was to hit him with the taser and stun him a little bit. Let's
talk about Joey Gallo, guys.
Nice. That was an awesome segue.
I had to cut it. I had to cut it because we were about to go down that rabbit hole.
Show that damn picture.
Let's talk about Joey Gallo, y'all. I hit the wrong.
Joey Gallo did not add me as a friend on LinkedIn. I'm upset. I sent him a friend. As a Yankees fan, I expect him to accept my LinkedIn request. If he's looking for a new job, he better add me to his network.
You're gonna have to add 298 strikeouts to that to the friendship.
Well, he listed that as one of his key abilities on his LinkedIn page. Strike it out.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
He listed striking out and hitting into the shift.
Well, I was going to say, if you strike out 290 times, then you ain't got to worry about hitting into the shift.
So can I read his quote so I can enrage a baseball
Please
fan
do.
base, please?
Please
Can
do.
I read? I want to read this whole quote. So this is the New York Yankees, Joey Gallo, RDOT's favorite team, by the way.
This is free agent Joey Gallo.
Free agent Joey Gallo, free agent millionaire Joey Gallo.
Let's just put that out there. Free agent Joey Gallo.
New York Yankee Joey Gallo. He wants Major League Baseball to completely axe the shift. And here is his quote. I get the defensive strategies. I do. I'm 100% not against it. But I think at some point you have to fix the game a little bit. I mean, I don't understand how I'm supposed to hit a double or a triple when I have 6 guys standing in the outfield. I think most hitters are pretty adamant on the shift. They have to do something with it. I don't really see many hitters going. The shift is pretty awesome, man. They need to keep that. I think people understand that hitting is hard, but when you have guys standing in different positions where it makes it almost impossible to get hits, that makes it even harder, obviously. I think that no outfielders in the outfield rule would be huge for the league. You can still shift, but you can't put multiple guys in the outfield. And at the end of the day, I think extra base hits are important, and line drives to the outfield should be hits.
Sound like a straight. Sound like a straight up pump. So you want to eliminate a part of the game. Now I'll be honest with you. I'm not the biggest fan of the shift. I'm just not. But I don't think they need to do anything. There's nothing that needs to be fixed with it. You either do it or you don't. This is based off strategy. Every sport has a strategy. This is based off strategy. And I think as a hitter, and you're a professional baseball player, if you're a pull hitter and they're playing the shift for you to pull, it might do you some good to try to go oppo.
Can I also show something else in defense, Your Honor? Defense Exhibit 95.
Now that is
on how to hit against. These are just random examples of Major League Baseball players hitting against shift. Now, I know there was players in the past that say, "Oh, I got to change and reconfigure my entire swing and all of this." But if you look at even the technique is not necessarily different. It's just a different focus. Inside out, nobody there. So Joey Gallo is saying that this defense is killing the game. But when your philosophy is my only option is to either hit it right at him or over him, you're limiting yourself as a player. I don't know.
I'm sorry. I'm caught up in these highlights here.
So I will play devil's.
Don't you defend him?
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here because now we're watching the AT&T commercial. So I will play devil's advocate here, and
don't do it just because he's a Yankee. He hasn't resigned yet.
Just like a good lawyer in a courtroom, my job is to state the case and let you believe what you want to believe. It's not about proving right or wrong. It's about making you believe what is out there. So
I think I've heard this defense on the O.J. Simpson trial.
There are so many baseball purists, and we get caught up in the tradition of the game of baseball, and we don't want to allow things to advance. They didn't have to shift back in 1904. They didn't have to shift back in 1913. They held strong to the traditional rules of the game. And now, with all of the technological advances that we aim so hard to keep out of the game, now you're saying something as simple as a shift is acceptable. And I want to go back to 2019 with the Atlantic League. and I know you saw how the Atlantic League kind of changed their rules, which then became a precursor for this argument in Major League Baseball. So, in not eliminating the shift, but modifying the shift, it states that you have to have two players on each side of the bag in the infield. So now, if I want to play the shift, and let's just say I want to move my second baseman back into right, into shallow right, I want to move my shortstop to right over the bag. My third baseman is still there. Now I have to move my shortstop to the second base side of the bag. I have to bring my left fielder in to the dirt. So if you're going to eliminate anything, you're eliminating them driving the ball in the air to left field if you're going to shift. So I thought that was an interesting case because you're saying the rule states you have to have two people in the infield dirt on each side of the bag. And I thought that was an innovative way to modify the shift. And if people were willing to risk, because like a lot of those videos showed, that opposite ball was on the ground. Mm-hmm. So if you have two infielders there, now you're forcing somebody to hit the ball into the air.
Which is harder.
Yeah. I think that would be a very interesting modification to the rule. And that I would like to see an adjustment made. But again, we go back to these baseball purists that say, oh, no, you can't do this. You can't change how the game is played. But then they allow something as simple as the shift. So if you're going to allow it so there's not as great of a competitive advantage for the hitter when we already know that hitting a baseball is the hardest task in all of sport. I think we can all agree with that. There's nothing harder in sports than to hit a moving baseball. It doesn't matter whether that ball is 75 miles per hour or 105. A baseball is hard to hit.
Absolutely.
So now you're moving that onus on the hitter to put that ball in the air as opposed to just hitting something in the ground. It was a great modification by the Atlantic League, and it kind of set up this movement saying ban the shift, which in essence it's not banning it, but it's just modifying
it. I mean, I think that would be a better alternative than banning it altogether. Because, I mean, and going back to your point, how, the shift wasn't around, way back when, but it was first introduced in the 40s against Ted Williams. And last I saw, he was the last 400 hitter. So, he's excited. And actually, if you really read about that, he actually didn't do well against the shift either.
Right.
Because I think he played in 2 World Series and did abysmal, but they played the shift against him. But he actually stated, he's like, why am I going to change my approach that was giving me success all season?
Correct.
But he batted 120 in those World Series. So it's like, again, it kind of goes back to what is the player willing to do in the situation to win?
Those stats that you just gave, and I used that exact stat in an argument as to who was the best hitter of all time, because I will always say Tony Gwynn.
Absolutely.
The argument was for Ted Williams, and I said, well, look at his postseason stats. Ted Williams didn't show up in the postseason.
Right.
When he was needed the most, he did not show up.
And got mad at people for pointing it out, by the way.
Exactly. Hated the fact that he was called out for not showing up in the postseason, but he did not show up. But that's another debate for another day.
Think about this. Think about how these baseball players are trained over the last 20 or so years. The training has become almost robotic. Okay, it's become almost robotic. You do this, you do this, you do that. You're not seeing a lot of adjusting being taught. You're seeing a lot of, you see the ball, you hit the ball, you lift it a launch angle, blah blah blah. I think Ted Williams, okay, Joey Votto, I'm sorry. Who that first one was Joey Votto. That's why I mean. Um um
Tony Gwynn,
no. Who are we talking about?
Joey
Joey Gallo.
Gallo,
Joey
Joey
Gallo.
Gallo. Um
New York Yankee Joey Gallo.
he's one of the robots. Ted Williams, one of the robots. They don't want Ted Williams, like you said, did not want to adjust his hitting. He didn't want to adjust what had been successful to him all season to put his team in position to win a championship.
And
That's a
mind you,
robot.
he had a book called The Science of Hitting.
He was a robot. Joey Gallo,
Yep.
from his statement, robot, because he doesn't want to try to go the other way. I can remember, I don't know if it was a game that you and I went to, Ryan, or if it was a game I saw on TV, but they played the shift on Bryce Harper. It was this season. Bryce Harper took the ball down the third base line.
He bunted it down.
And I think he got two on it, if I'm not mistaken. I think
it happened when we went to the Padres game.
Okay, that's the game it was.
And that's because we noticed his shiny belt.
Well, we know the shiny belt that first game we went to.
He has a sequin belt.
But when you train robots, you're going to get robotic things. You're going to get one mindset. You're going to get one reaction. And so here's my contradictory point to saying that the shift is basically unfair. It's kind of what Gallo was saying. The defense is now putting themselves in position to be beat as well. Correct. If you're willing to beat them, there's nobody in the outfield, and there's nobody on defense is complaining about playing on the side of the base that they're not used to. Sometimes they bring the third baseman over to play on the other side.
Correct.
Nobody's saying I shouldn't have to play on the other side of second base. I'm a third baseman. Nobody's coming out and saying that.
As the Philadelphia Phillies in the 2009 World Series against your New York.
No, I don't want to talk about that one. I'm not talking about that World Series ever.
So for all of us who are on here, I want to give a disclaimer about what is being said here in terms of training of baseball. Our thoughts and feelings are not an expression of what our employers may say or train or believe. These are our thoughts and our thoughts alone.
Absolutely.
Because I will say right now, and I know both of you two gentlemen, and I know what I teach. And I teach fundamentals. And I teach fundamental baseball. I don't teach analytic baseball. I don't teach launch angle baseball. I leave that to the professionals, so to speak. They have trainers, they have staff, they have devices that push these kids to these things. I teach kids to go the other way. I teach kids to bunt down the line. We run drills and we work to position baseballs. We work on an inside out swing, which was perfected by that guy that wore number 2 in New York for a very long time. We work on things like that.
Charlie Ward?
Don't you start,
bro.
Don't you start that shit. I'm sorry. This is a
family show. You got to get on timeout.
Don't you start that mess.
To the FCC watching.
This is not a reflection of my employer.
I don't even know Charlie wore number 2. Actually,
I am not a role model. He did wear number 2.
But good.
But the now unemployed Derek Jeter.
So here's my thing about Gallo. Like, you're a professional baseball player complaining about defense. You don't hear a point guard saying anybody over 6'10" shouldn't be allowed to play in the paint. It makes it harder for me to make a shot.
And this is like if you're a left-handed shot in basketball, and I have my entire defense playing you to not shoot from your left, you're gonna complain that I can only shoot from my right hand. That's what it's like to me.
That's basically.
And every sport goes to, like in the 90s, it was the dink and dunk with the 49ers, right? West Coast offense. Then it was, now you have, kind of a variation of the run and shoot in the 80s, with the Oilers and stuff like that. So it's like every 5 or 10 years, there's always a phase that an offense has to the defense because they're trying to adjust. And now it's to a point where, like, in football, honestly, defense is optional. Seriously,
It
I
is
look,
who
look
can
look at
slow
the
the
Eagles
other
Super Bowl.
team down the most. It's not about stops. It's about slowing somebody down.
Right.
And
We'll
that's
give
what
you
baseball is now.
right.
It's not about whose pitcher throws that complete game shutout. It is about which defense can slow down these high-powered offenses because the game rules have changed so much for offenses to prosper.
Agreed.
Are we purists on the show? Are we
No,
baseball purists?
I'm not a baseball purist, and as you asking that question, I kind of wanted to segue us into something else. Speaking about the purist topic, and I believe I sent it to both of you
Mm-hmm.
about Vanderbilt using
Yeah.
watches to call pitches.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been begging for this. I've been having dreams about this for years.
Let's do it.
But no, it goes again because baseball is that one sport or that one entity that, like, it's holding on. I'm trying to stay away from politics, but it's almost like, how certain entities are trying to hold on to old slave master kind of ways. That's what baseball reminds me of, because again, the way they negotiate with their players, the way they just do things, they're so mired in just sticking to the tradition and everything like that. It, it needs a wake up call. It needs a reconfiguration using technology, because Vanderbilt's using these watches where a pitching coach will actually type in a number code. All the players on the field see it, and they know what pitch is coming. No signs are thrown. You have no situation with the Houston Astros trying to cheat, nothing like that. And it's like it took all these years, all these rumors of cheating to figure this out. You have the technology in front of you. All the other sports are using the technology. It's like baseball's the last to do anything new and fresh.
Because they don't want to be progressive.
Exactly. And it's like, even if you look at I had to do a project and study a sport that I never liked or cared to watch, but I had to study cricket and soccer in Europe. Don't
I like
laugh.
cricket.
But no,
Shout out to Max.
the first thing I noticed, and I did this project back in like 2016 for Drexel, but the first thing I noticed was how progressive they were in using, like, technology. Like, for instance, in soccer over there, they have this technology where there's an actual RFD sensor around the goal nets. So if they can't really see that a ball actually went over the line, they don't even have to go to replay. They actually get buzzed down and immediately say the ball went over. You know what I mean? And even when they do replay, they were the first to use drones on the field, even before any of the other sports. And they were doing that for like the last 10 years. So even America sports culture we're starting to kind of go towards technology, but even that we're kind of still.
In cricket, they also put the lights on the wickets.
They do, yeah.
They put the lights on the wickets now.
Mm-hmm.
So if it nips it, the light goes off.
Right. And that was the one thing, like instant replay in football, for instance. It should not involve a ref going to a physical. It should not involve the refs leaving the field. In soccer, they have a person literally up top. If there's a questionable call, the play is halted. They go into their ear. Was it offsides? Was it whatever? They say yes or no, and then they make the call. The call usually is made within 15 seconds. Still to this day, an instant replay in NFL, it's what, 2-3 minutes? It's like they're stretching it out. It's like you talk about pace of play.
You know what? Let me defend the NFL a little bit in this, because it really depends. It depends on the what's being reviewed, right? So a lot of times, if it's clear cut, it's a quick review and you're back to playing within less than a minute.
But that's what I'm talking about. Even the quick review.
Hold on. But a lot of times, what happens is if something has to change, now they're looking at where the ball needs to be. Now they're looking at where the clock needs to be. They're looking at all these different things to make it right, as opposed to just being able to get back out. They're trying to make everything right, and that's where replay gets in the way, because they're trying to make everything right with the time, with the play clock, with the yardage, with whatever the case may be. Whereas if you just kind of had somebody go over it real quick and give the signal down, but you still have to figure out the play clock, the
No, I
yards,
get you.
things like that. So it can be a little bit different going from sport to sport and play to play when it comes to challenges and replays and stuff like that. I feel like after that one guy years ago lost that perfect game in baseball, I was like, they need to have replay.
Yeah.
But kind of
Who
now
was
that they
that for the
have it, I'm
Tigers?
like,
His name was Gallo.
I don't really like it now. I don't really like replaying baseball.
And I was actually
I'm not saying that they don't need it. I'm just saying I'm not a big fan of it.
I think baseball replay is needed for certain things. I think I don't like it for balls and strikes. And I only say that because
absolutely not.
Do you like the robotic strike zone?
No, I don't because I'm gonna tell you why. I like the variety, I guess.
The human, you like the human aspect of an umpire blowing a call like Joe West.
I like the human aspect of balls and strikes. I like that human aspect. I don't like the aspect of blowing a call at first base that's obvious. I don't like that human aspect of it.
So because I mean, it would be very easy enough to put sensors in the bags.
Kind of if you check out that comment right there, Sweet Mother God is the perfect evolution of beard. I'm looking at all our beards. I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. It's pretty good. That's pretty good one, Polar Nights. I like that. Shout out to you. Make sure you follow us. Appreciate you.
But like, I think it would be easy enough for those bang bang plays to put sensors in the bags, like. But then we get the foot hitting the bag, but the sensor could go off from the first baseman hitting his foot on the bag. The sensor it could be a number of things.
Right. You can expand on
that. That variable is hard. Now, balls and strikes, they changed because initially it was just a robotic K zone, essentially.
Come on, like on TV, just seeing it on TV.
But there was no variable for
height,
Judge versus Altuve.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So now what they went back and did for minor league baseball only at this point, but they literally measured every player that comes on your roster. So that zone adjusts to the sizes. It adjusts to each player's height. So it made the strike zone, the robotic strike zone, more accurate.
So what happens when there is a malfunction with the robotic strike zone that we don't know about?
We ain't gonna know about it. I mean, it's the same.
And then we got to go into something else because now the game is ruined because this was obviously not a strike. This was obviously not a strike.
We've had umpires who called balls and strikes purposely, and they didn't go back and say, "Hey, you know what? Now we got to change everything in baseball because these guys threw games."
No, you're not going to do that.
We're not going to go.
I think a robotic strike zone is. While I think it would speed the game up. Maybe not speed the game up. While I think it would give a sense of fairness, maybe because there's no umpire bias. There's no. This guy was arguing me earlier. I'm anything.
So now I'm ringing him up.
You eliminate that, but that's kind of what makes baseball great, though.
It removes the Kinslows.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. I had a couple words one day, but
he ain't watching.
Now, what if you, because you can pretty much have a challenge. What if you were allowed as a coach to challenge a called third strike call only?
I think that it would happen more often than we would want it to, and it slows down.
It would happen a lot,
right? But you would limit it though, like just like it would. You can either count it as a ball strike challenge and separate it from the regular challenge, or include it as a regular challenge. Because if you get a challenge and you win, then you get another challenge later on.
Right.
You know what that's going to lead to, and some people probably like it. It's going to lead to umpires getting fired.
Hello.
Some people are going to like it. But that's the human aspect of the game. Like baseball has a human aspect that no other game has.
But I'm not a fan of that only for the simple fact that we have a shortage of officials in every sport as it is
Right.
because of the scrutiny that these officials face. And some of them, they ain't really getting paid a damn thing. Like right now, we have a shortage of baseball umpires in the state of Delaware because one, the officials don't really get paid a lot.
Right.
And then they definitely don't get paid enough to go out there and argue with people over calls that they made where they are supposed to be the authority on the call.
Right.
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 So there are people saying, I don't want this job. And I can only assume that even on the professional level, there are some people saying, I don't want to be that guy getting scrutinized because at some point, if I make two mistakes, I lose my job because I'm on ESPN. They're
Mhm.
talking about me on Sports Center. Skip and Shannon are debating about how much of a moron I am. And now I'm getting death threats and letters sent to my house. I don't want this job.
I mean, not for
They're
nothing,
gonna get they're gonna get that anyway though too.
but
If they
Joe,
make a bad enough call, they're gonna get all that anyway.
but not for nothing, but Joe West has been a moron since the Naked Gun movie, and he lasted 68 years as an umpire.
But he thrived on it. He loved the
He really,
content.
really did.
He didn't want that to go anywhere. He made come on. Anytime you can stare down a pitcher for 35 seconds and you have a staring contest
That's
with the
epic.
pitcher on a call.
Because he wanted to be a star.
Exactly.
He wanted to be the star umpire.
And to speak
was
to that
epic.
point, that is why, and you know what I'm speaking about when I say we changed officials for an entire league because of umpires. Because of umpires wanting to be the focus of the game rather than allowing the game to be the focus of the game.
They wanted to be the show. And real quick, there a lot of officials sometimes feel like they're the authority
Right.
on anything. Okay. I'm reminded of, and Miguel, you might remember this when we coached this past summer. We had our team would play walk up music that they had on their own. And long story short, there was an umpire that did not appreciate the music. And I was the first base coach, and he was on the first base side, and he was not even part of our game. He came over to me, and he said, "Coach, they're gonna have to kill that music, or I'm going to complain." Blah blah blah, whatever he said.
You don't get any say on that.
And I just looked at him. I said, "What you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about." He said, "You know what I'm talking about? The music, blah blah." He wasn't an umpire in that game. I didn't care what he said. I did not care what he said. He had no authority in that game right there at that position. Go ahead and complain about the music. I don't care. We got a baseball game. I'm not worried about you complaining about music. Go ahead.
You know what the funniest thing about that whole weekend was? Because we had the same two umpires. You remember the white umpire, the little guy? He came over and requested like 5 songs from Eminem.
He did.
And then once they played the song, he would be like, "Yo," and he's like, "Hey, mom." I was like, "What?"
You're right. He absolutely. I forgot about that.
And I think the other umpire, who was our complexion, he was kind of like waiting to see like what the other umpires. Then he was like, "Yo, you got any Biggie?" We're like, "Yo, man, we got you. We got you."
And then you got another umpire on the side that has nothing to do with our game complaining about the music.
Haven't seen him since.
I don't want to see him. I have no reason to see him. I have no intention. Anyway, well, that's the spiel on that. Umpire. I consider myself a semi-purist of the game. There are things that I don't want to see change, such as I don't want to see them moving the pitcher's mound back. I don't want to see them extending distances of certain things. Unless one day a pop fly they get so strong, pop flies are automatic home runs. Maybe you move back the walls. I don't know. I mean, the walls have been moved back. Some stadiums are smaller, some stadiums are bigger. There's no uniform distance. So but I'm really shaky, and Miguel and I have had this conversation a few times. I'm shaky on the designated hitter. At times, I want universal designated hitter.
They agreed
At
to
times,
universal.
I'm like, nah, I don't. Keep it the way it is. So
So you all right? Here's a scenario: bases loaded, nobody out. It's August 17th. It's 112 degrees. You're tied. and up comes Cole Hamels, who's a career 098 hitter. You pretty much know there's a 98% chance of his success rate in that situation, right? Wouldn't you rather have, even if it was somebody batting 250 in that spot versus somebody that's batting 098 who doesn't even really care if he gets a hit in that situation or not?
Right.
So I missed some of what you said because I had to block somebody, but bases loaded, tie game. You said bottom of the ninth. Cole
I didn't
Hamels
give
is
an
up
inning.
to
I
bat?
it
No
was just
inning.
any. It could be the first inning,
Fourth inning.
fourth, yeah,
That'd make a
fourth inning.
difference.
Tell them to lay one down. Plus, you got 2 more outs. Tell them to stand there and strike out. Let the real hitters do the hitting.
But that's what he's gonna do. You're giving up an out for the opportunity to get 4.
Well, if you lay a
Right.
bunt down, you might be giving up an out too.
Cole Hamels can't bunt. I mean, they're trained to bunt, but
So
That's what I'm saying. But do what you're trained to do. That's what I'm saying. Like or sub him out. Put in the pinch hitter.
in the fourth inning,
in the fourth, you gonna lose him for the rest of the game?
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not making that decision that early to take him out. So he's got to step up, which takes me back to something I said before. Pitchers need to take BP, and they need to have bat practice. If you're going to have a pitcher in the lineup, why not have them bat? Why not have them be a better batter than they are, so they can bat their spot? You want him to focus on pitching, but he's going to come up in the lineup. Why not have him bat? Why not have him practice bat? So when he gets in a situation where bases loaded, tie game, you're up, no outs, you might be able to make something happen.
So you want Pat Mahomes to switch and play safety and make the tackle
that's
at the
apples
goal
and
line?
oranges. That's apples and oranges. We're talking about something that you have to do at your position. You have to do. You have no choice but to bat if you're in the National League as a pitcher. You have to do it. Everybody knows you have to do it. Everybody in the world knows they got to do it. Why not train them better as batters?
So here's my only argument against universal DH. And I was actually kind of happy that they approved it. But here's my only argument against universal DH. It potentially makes the game longer. You know that the pitcher is generally an out.
Right.
Generally. But now you're introducing another hitter into the lineup, and it is going to make the defenses work more. Not saying that that's a bad thing, but we've already gotten to the point where it is 3.5 hours to 4 hours for a 9-inning game. It takes too long, and people lose interest. So you're potentially making a long game even longer by introducing more offense.
So I would also, and this is another thing I struggle with, because I want this to happen, but I don't necessarily agree with it. Baseball doesn't need to be 9 innings long.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
It doesn't need to be 9 innings
You like
long.
the 7-inning doubleheaders?
7-inning doubleheaders are cool. Even a 7-inning one single game. 7 innings. It's a condensed game.
But you know what? The way games are coached, I don't even know if that'll make a difference.
I think that you will have to change some of your philosophy. I think a lot more small ball might be involved if you have a shorter game. Think about when the Phillies won the World Series and they had to play like 3 innings the next day. How exciting was that following day of that short game? I know a lot of people that watched it that were not baseball fans.
And you know what the total time of that game was? If you put both games together, it was about 3.5 hours. So it's like, and that's the thing about baseball and pace of play. I agree. It's hard for me to watch sometimes, especially all the timeouts and stuff like that. I think personally, when I watch games today versus games from back in the day, the biggest difference I noticed is that they called strikes. They called more strikes. And I think that's what kind of, but even then it's only a difference of like maybe 15, 20 minutes. But that can make a difference between my attention span and going to something else.
What that also could be, because I'm also a bit of a conspiracy theorist. That could be the league telling umpires to not call as many strikes to create a long ball situation, like it's a long ball league, right? So you got to if you're giving borderline strikes, calling them balls, now you got to come in a little bit more. Now you're more so in the batter's wheelhouse, and they can rip it. That could be part of the plan too. That's a conspiracy, but it is what it is.
I just see
my
more. I see more players today striking out looking than striking out swinging.
probably.
It,
Yeah,
it,
that could be.
it's like the pitch recognition's off, but there's too many timeouts in between. Pitching. Pitchers also pitched more complete games back in the day. I saw this one stat. Somebody was being facetious. They said Nolan Ryan in a no-hitter in 1974 threw 235 pitches. And it was like, but nobody called to fire the coach. He went out 5 days later and threw 248 pitches and threw a shutout. So it was like, kind of correlating the times, now, God forbid a pitcher goes over 100 pitches. And then you have specialists for pretty much from the sixth inning on. You have, your 6-7 inning guy, then your setup guy, then you get to your closer. But even back then, closers would pitch like 2 or 3 innings. So pretty much a game would consist of 4 pitchers between 2 teams. Now you have 7 just for one. So that's another thing that kind of affects the pace of play is how many players you have. You have specialists for every single aspect of the game.
Mm-hmm. I got you there.
Yeah.
Well, what we're going to do right now, I think it's about that time for Miguel to stump me again.
Who did I get you with last week?
I want no parts of this. We didn't have a show last week.
I think you know what, Arda. I think you're gonna get this.
Well, don't blurt it out. You gotta give me a chance to get it.
It
must be a Yankee.
Yeah, you were sick last week, so I want to say the week before.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Oh,
Arda got it, don't you?
Damn, that's a lot of teams.
All right, here are the teams that he played in no particular order.
No idea. 6-time All-Star, 97 World Series. Who won the World Series in 97?
He played for the Chicago White Sox, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the St. Louis Cardinals, the Atlanta Braves, the Marlins of Florida, the Baltimore Orioles, the Mets of New York, and the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Wait a minute. When did the Marlins win? Did the Marlins win 97? The Braves won 97.
Braves won in 95. Marlins won in 97.
So he was on the Marlins. He was on the Marlins team. 6-time All-Star. You read a lot of teams there. I kind of blanked on that part. 6-time All-Star. 3-time Silver Slugger. 97 World Series. Who was on that? Give me the teams. Bobby Bonilla?
Nope.
No, he didn't play for the Braves. Let me see.
Yes, he did. Bam.
He played for the Braves?
Yeah, it was short-lived.
I don't even remember him playing for the Braves.
Short-lived.
Wow. My first guess.
Your first guess. I keep telling you, go with your first instinct.
But I thought you were going to get it just based on the jersey number.
Yo, you know what? That really doesn't help me at all.
It never does. It never
helps me. The jersey
I could have Henry Aaron's 44 up there. He will not get it.
You're absolutely right.
Absolutely
right. Because baseball is one of those sports that I don't identify the jersey. You don't correlate the number. I just don't identify the jersey that much. Yeah. Like Jimmy Rollins wore like 3 different numbers for the Phillies at one point.
So initially, I thought of somebody else who was involved in a lot of deals with Bobby Bonilla until I realized what the jersey number was. And then it clicked. So my first thought was Jeff Conine.
Okay.
Who
he was on that team.
Jeff Conine played on 6 teams, and 6 of those jerseys that he played for were up there.
Mm-hmm. So Justin, you know the significance of the dollar bills, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Bobby Bonilla Day.
He's got that contract I wish I had.
Hold on, wait. I do believe that he has like 12 more years left.
Hold on. Here's a question.
Uh-oh.
Does he still get paid during the lockout year?
Yes.
Yeah.
He does.
It's a deferred payment. They can't touch it.
Oh wow. Nice.
They cannot touch it. So Bobby Bonilla is probably the single smartest baseball player ever.
Well, so you know that, and I can't remember my man's name now.
I was gonna say there's somebody else that
all,
has this kind of deal too, ain't it?
all of it. No. The guy who negotiated it, he was all jammed up in that Ponzi scheme stuff in New York, and I can't remember his
What's his
name.
name?
He was the one that negotiated the deal for Bobby Bo.
I believe I had to look it up, but I believe there is someone else that is getting paid by it. I don't know if it's as
But
much.
it's not.
Bobby
It's
Bo
not.
is.
It is, but not to the extent of Bobby
Yeah,
Bonilla.
it's not as significant as Bobby Bo, but
Because even the way it was pitched to the Mets, they were like, "Man, he's doing us a favor,"
and they still didn't come away with a World Series.
Nope.
I wonder if they would let him play if he wanted to come back and play if he had any talent.
Bobby Bonilla still gets paid until 2035. So he's got another 13 years left on the deal. Matter of fact, it was a big point that was brought up at that All-Star game when Pete Alonso won the home run derby. And it was, I want to say it was, what is my man's name? The old guy, Tim Kirkjian. He said, with Pete Alonso winning the home run derby and his salary from the Mets that year, he still got less money from the Mets than Bobby Bonilla.
How much does Bobby Bo get paid every year?
1.2 every year.
1.2. I thought it was just one. It's 1.2. Wow.
1.2 every year.
Well, no, Pete Alonso made 1.5, didn't he?
I don't know exactly. No, he was saying what he got from the Mets.
Oh, just the Mets. Okay,
correct.
Gotcha.
Because the home run derby had nothing to do with the Mets. Okay. So he gets that from the league, but he still actually they said that at that point on the roster, there were like 11 guys on the roster that still made less than Bobby Bonilla.
Wow.
Hey, get this. I'm reading this thing that actually says that with the new owner from the Mets, he's actually considering celebrating Bobby Bonilla Day on July 1st every year.
He should.
Yo, we should celebrate Bobby Bonilla Day on this show.
July 1st.
July 1st.
We'll start off each day with him threatening to beat up a New York reporter. Make your move.
July 1st falls on a Friday. Well, maybe we'll do it. I don't know.
And I just found the post, and it says the deal is generous in part due to investments the team had made with notorious Ponzi schemer Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff. That was his name. Bernie Madoff. I didn't know Bernie Madoff made that deal.
He was a part of the investments that went into it. His agent Dennis Gilbert was the one who brokered the deal.
Well, there you have it.
Interesting.
Well, I think it's time for us to get on out of here. I think it's time for us to close this out. Any last words?
Man, well, you know how I'm gonna close it out. Get out and give tomorrow. Tomorrow is Do More 24 Delaware. Delaware's Giving Day. Blue Demon Athletics is looking to raise $8,212 to top both of our last two previous years combined, and we need your help to do it. So please go to my Instagram profile, r.hunter, or you can go to the Blue Demon Athletics Inc. profile or bluedemonathletics.org. And please give.
Yeah, Miguel.
My goal for the next week is to figure out how to make $1.2 million for the next 35 years.
Annually
on July 1st. And then have a team celebrate me publicly.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to be it for Check Swing Podcast. We appreciate y'all for hanging with us. Everybody that's been with us, that was hanging with us today, we love y'all. And what we would like y'all to do, if you're checking us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever the case may be, Twitch, whatever the case may be, make sure you subscribe and follow. You go over to youtube.com/NewTwistRadio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It really helps us out. You can check out all our shows that air here on New Twist Radio, from Intelligent Ignorance. There's just a new episode of Intelligent Ignorance was just recorded about an hour ago, 2 hours ago, whatever you want to call it. And then of course, yeah, last time we was on, I think I did that, right? With the UMES shirt. And of course, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all that good stuff at New Source Radio and at Check Swing Podcast. Yes, sir.
And make sure to show love for the Iranians.
Now I gotta close the little door right here. I gotta close that door.
We out, y'all.